The Fruitful Entrepreneurs podcast aims to increase the visibility of female leaders in business, inspire a limitless mindset to build your own blooming brand, and leave a positive impact with a purpose-driven business. Welcome to the Fruitful Entrepreneurs podcast. I'm your host, Shelley Tilbrook, and today I'm joined by female founder Charlotte Hall. Charlotte is a recruiter specialising in executive sales and business support. She founded Hallway People to help brands find and retain great people. She's also a women in leadership coach and speaker. So welcome, Charlotte. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you for having me, Shelley.
Excellent. I've got lots of exciting topics to explore with you, right down the theme of building the right team and owning your leadership, amongst many others. But before we dive into that, I'd love to sort of hear about your entrepreneur journey. Tell us about what was the instigator for starting your own business, and tell us about your business.
So the instigator for starting my own business was it was a burnout. It was because of burnout, and I don't like to start in a negative space, but that's the reality. Mm-hmm. So I've worked in recruitment and people and HR for 25, nearly 30 years. And that experience has been amazing. And, I suffered a pretty big, severe burnout leading a lot of people, and we'll talk about this later. Mm-hmm. And because of that, something had to give. And I've always had this itch about running my own business, and I felt like there was more value to add doing it in a way that I really wanted to, as opposed to executing someone else's plan or deliverables. So that's what the instigator was. So the burnout, and also that real desire to do my own thing and add some value myself. Mm-hmm. And so that's where it all came from.
You wouldn't be alone having experienced burnout. I have been there, and it's a really challenging time, and even we can talk more about it later, but the post recovery of it is, you go through that complete exhaustion, and it's not like you just the next week you're up and about. It does take some time. But I love that you really wanted to create your own thing, and I suppose a lot of what you experienced has shaped what you've built and developed, which is amazing. Yeah. So tell us more about Hallway People and what you do in terms of recruitment.
Sure. So Hallway People is a recruitment company, as you said. We also specialise in HR, and we're also going into video marketing at the moment as well. So we've got 3 different arms to what we do, and we specialise in recruitment, so the executive and sales space. That's probably my sweet spot. It's, where I've played most of my career, in that space within people. And so it makes sense for me to now be able to say, okay, well, I've done this gig, so let's work together so that I can help you and empathise with you with where the gaps you need to fill from a client perspective, and also from a candidate perspective as well. And then trained in HR, which means medium-sized businesses that might need some help with HR, or perhaps talent acquisition, or, some sort of HR generalist queries. Then I can kind of be that one-stop shop, pardon the cliche, for companies to be able to call and say, hey, I need some help with this fair work issue, or I need a person to join the team. So that's what Hallway is. And as I said, we're actually also morphing in organically into video marketing now, where we're helping businesses market themselves via video, and showing them how to do that too.
Well, that's obviously a massive growth area. It's something that I'd love the storytelling process through video, and have worked on that a lot with my clients as well. But what you're talking about is also training people up to be confident on camera and things like that as well, which I think is a massive growth space, because it does put nearly everyone out of their comfort zone. I was, I suppose, in the content development space and filming people and capturing that content. But when I had to do it for my own business, I didn't enjoy it. And I would do many, many, many takes till I was happy with it. And that's not very time productive. So it is one of those things. You do get better with time, but coaching can absolutely help, skyrocket that confidence and that improvement in your output. So
for sure.
Now, in the early days, we talk about sort of stepping into running a business, and no one's an expert at everything. What was out of your comfort zone, or what was completely foreign to you when it came to running a business?
I think for me, it was probably the back end scenario. I'm definitely front facing in business and have been most of my career, right? So I'm the salesperson you chuck out the front and leave it up to her to go and close a deal. I'm not so good at the administration and finance side of things because it is just so detailed, and whilst I loved numbers and statistics from a results perspective and how much that can help impact a deal or whatever it is that we're trying to add value to a client, that was kind of the only reason I love numbers, if I'm being honest. That and watching the P&L. So I think that's definitely been my downfall and what I've learned, and so that's helped me. I've sort of understood that I need to get support in that space, and I've had a little bit of support in that space, but I've also upskilled myself a lot, and it's been a very, very good, humbling moment for me to not only step back and be on the tools again, so recruiting again after managing a team for like 10 years, but also learning skills that I was really reluctant to do until now, but out of necessity I need to. So it's been, like I said, humbling and a lot of growth for me in there, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely not alone. I'm not a huge fan of the finance side. My bookkeeping needs a bit of work, but yeah, I think the key is identifying where you can bring in other people to support you. But at the same time, yeah, upskilling is great, but you don't want to be doing all the things that aren't in your, genius wheelhouse all the time. So yeah. I suppose looking at any particular moments with your business, when was there, I suppose, something you did that everything seemed to click and everything seemed to flow, the leads were coming in, or did you have more of a gradual climb as you sort of built up your own business?
And actually, I'm really lucky to say that it was instantaneous for me. And I know that's not the case for everybody. So, I'm extremely grateful that that was the case for me. I think when you've been in an industry for a really long time and you build a reputation, or perhaps, people might know you as being a good operator in a certain space, then it can sometimes be, or it definitely would be, a lot easier for people to put their hand up and say, hey, I'm doing my own thing now. And people come out of the woodwork and they want to support you. And, old clients that I used to work with from 10, 15, 20 years ago, but, then I managed teams that looked after them. I no longer was client facing from a delivery point of view. They reached out and said, oh my gosh, you're back on the tools. Let's chat. And so to begin with, I was inundated, which was awesome, but there was also a bit of challenge to that as well, in that there was a lot of things that probably got missed because I was so busy in filling roles. So that was my learning, so from a startup phase, there was a few things I overlooked, which I should have really paid more attention to in that phase. But it was great. Things started really quickly. I've had some lulls since. I got really excited. I'm thinking, oh, is this what it's like? This is great. Not doing any sales, I'm just filling jobs. And then, of course, I think it was 4 or 5 months in, I'm now in month 10. There was a lull where I went, okay, this is back to normal again. I'm used to this, and back on the BD. So,
yeah. Oh, well, that's great. I mean, a great problem to have, but I do understand when you are so busy fulfilling projects that you do let a few other things slide. So yeah, and I've had other clients who had a really big growth very quickly and the business wasn't ready for it and they had headaches from that. So yeah, you can certainly have challenges from growing too fast too soon, but it sounds like you've got it all in check now. What do you do in your space to attract clients? You just mentioned you're back in sort of business development mode. What are you finding works for you to generate new leads or business?
Mine, video is definitely my best tool to use as far as reach out or outreach is concerned. And, I have a process in place as far as, when I'm doing specific marketing or BD calls, I still use video, right? So I have a plan. I've got a lot of contacts on LinkedIn now. I've been there since the start. That's how old I am. And so I've kind of grown a lot during the time, during all those years. And that then means that video outreach is really, really effective on LinkedIn at the moment. There's only 6% of all posts use video on LinkedIn right now. And if we look at what's happening in the world with AI and with, just modernizing technology and how quickly that's moving, we thought it was quick to now, but it's just going to catapult in the next few years. And a big part of that will be the video style of communication. And at the moment, it's still a little bit novel. And so I'm doing my best to capitalize on that. I work with a platform that is specific to recruitment. And it's fantastic. It allows me to directly sit at my computer and, do a whole heap of personalized video shout outs. And, it gets a lot of response. The hit rate is really fantastic because people are refreshed, to hear from someone that perhaps they may have already seen coming up in their feed, because I do a lot of content sharing. And we'll get to that as well about why that's important. But for me, that's why it works. It works really well. And at the moment, anyway, touch wood, it is working really, really well using video. Plus, marketing and all of the other side of things is all the social media stuff. So I do a lot of content related. And so you see that across all the platforms. And honestly, a lot of my business has come from organic marketing.
Well, it's no surprise that LinkedIn has been so successful for you, but I love that you don't stick around video being 6% of content is video. It helps you to stand out, because that's really what, one of the things I help people do is build a bold, blooming brand. And that's about standing out and not being beige. And if everyone's doing, sharing articles or sharing static visuals and you're doing video, then you're helping yourself to stand out. So I think that's a very wise move. And, we all know video helps people connect with you a lot faster. So,
And I can't emphasize that enough. I'm a massive advocate for it. It's like I said, it's now part of my business, just purely because I'm getting so many people coming to me saying, show me what you do. And can you teach my team how to do that? And it's got to the point where I was like, I built a course and I did all of this information to share pro bono, which was fine. And then they just didn't stop. They've just been coming. So I thought, the entrepreneur mindset in me says, perhaps there's something in that. And so that's what I'm looking at the moment. And I genuinely know and feel the impact as well. So, having been thrown in front of the camera for a job at one time, and perhaps we'll get to that later, I've felt how awful it is in the beginning. I felt that and literally was petrified, and learned through stumbling with my words, stumbling with my confidence, stumbling with everything, and doing it anyway, and doing it again, and doing it again, doing it again. And like anything, it's just got better over time. And I now know the impact that it can bring, because in that role that I had, it bought business. It upped their online visits by a couple of 100%. It's the biggest post this particular company had ever had, was the first interview that I did online. So anyway, we'll get to that, but you can see I'm quite passionate about video.
Absolutely. No, we will get to that. The first, I suppose, topic of expertise I wanted to talk about was really around building a team. So a lot of female founders in our audience are starting solo. Very fortunate if you're able to build a team quickly. And so I suppose when the time comes for people to sort of take that leap of faith and that courage that their business is growing, and they start to I suppose, identify and recognize what roles they need to support them in their business. There's a good and a bad way to do it, I'm sure. So I'd love to hear some tips from you on what should be the process, or what are the tips to designing your, I suppose, future team, and how to go about sort of starting that process.
So I've got to start by saying that I think one of the biggest things to remember when we're looking to fill some gaps when we're growing is that we work for our team members, they don't work for us, and that's how we're going to get that performance. I heard that said a couple of weeks ago, and I was just like, that is brilliant. In today's market, mindset around hiring is probably the first step before we even look at what are the gaps that we've got and what do we need to fill. It's more around, okay, I need to grow my business. How can I ensure that before I even think about who I need in the business or how I'm going to plug those gaps, do I have a fabulous vision for the business? Do I have amazing values? Is there a really strong goal, that I want to achieve, or that the business wants to achieve? Because we've got to start talking in we's. And am I able to share that confidently and concisely? That's going to help people feel confident and engaged when they consider joining your business. So first and foremost, that's what I would talk about first. Get the values, the visions, the goals nailed. It has to be nailed. It has to be something you speak about really passionately. Once you've got that done, it is a matter of doing the pros and cons list, and that's pretty much what I tell my clients is, what is it that you're great at? We've talked about that with me as an example today. I can talk to the cows come home, and I'm pretty good in meetings and anything sort of customer facing, but all the behind the scenes stuff, apart from the creative stuff on Canva, which I love and can just drown in that for days. Other than that, I would much rather offload that, right, to someone that's much better at it than me. And so I would know, in fact, I already know because I'm looking at doing this myself, exactly the skills, the job that I need filled, right? And that is through doing a really good assessment of where your time is going. So you can spend, my coach helped me, you can spend like a 2-week period literally writing down where your time's going. And that will tell you what you're good at. Because pretty sure the stuff you're good at, you'll be doing a lot of it and you'll be doing it quickly. The stuff you're bad at will take forever. And so writing all that down, then that will start to emulate a bit of a job description, and you will pretty quickly see what you need. Most founders, or if they're growing a business, they're going to need probably admin support, customer service support in the first instance.
Yeah, I think that's a great suggestion around, where your time is going. I hadn't sort of thought of it from that point of view.
Yeah. That's usually
in terms of, I suppose, I look at you can hire talent, or you can hire people who are looking for a job. And I obviously go down the path of talent. What are some essential differentiators to identify talent, or how do you attract them into your business?
Well, you be different. That's your differentiator. And so by that, being different in the market means that it's no different to what a lot of us entrepreneurs are trying to do in the market. We're trying to stand out. We're trying to be a little bit different. We think about where our point of difference is. That is what will indeed attract someone that is of talent as opposed to just looking for a job. If you share that story really well. So first of all, your story, make an impact or sell it from an employee branding perspective. Really, really important, right? And finding talent is all about being able to share your cultural values. So basically just think what's in it for them. In a market where there's a really, really strong talent shortage, the people that are offering at the moment, the businesses that are offering flexibility, they're offering really decent salaries, which can be really hard for a startup as well. But salary is definitely something that is a consideration. Not everything, but it is a consideration, and bigger than it was 5 years ago. It's actually quite important now. And sadly, it's not longevity, because it's changed, as we know. Long gone are the days when you'd stay in a career or the same place for 10, 15 years. And the next generations that are coming through see every opportunity as an opportunity for growth for their next step. So it's being mindful of that too. And really, I think sharing honesty with your applicants to say, this is where I'm at. These are how you can add value to me. This is how I can help you. And you're literally saying a video ad like that with those sorts of words. That's your differentiator, instead of a vanilla, we need this and I need this and I need this. There's thousands of those on Seek, and just not going to make as much impact.
Yeah, I love the idea of a video ad as opposed to your standard what you see on Seek. Have those platforms evolved at all? Is there the option of adding videos for platforms like Seek? Yeah,
exactly. So every job that I do is videoed. So, I in my process is pretty much all videoed, and that's right through to video job ad, which I convert using AI's help into a story. So, rather than it being a really dry job description that I try to write an ad for that sounds like everyone else there, AI will help to generate a bit of a story. If you know how to put the right prompts in and it knows your tone of voice, you can really write a story that stands out, maybe looks a bit quirky, and then use that as a little bit of a script to do a great video. And you can just get a YouTube link and chuck it straight up on Seek.
Yeah, amazing. Because I do remember, it might have been, at least more than 5 years ago now, but one of the interview processes I went through was a series of video questions, and you had to hit record and retake or whatever and then submit. But I only ever had one, and I actually thought that was a really good way for them to work out who they actually want to interview. Just
such a good way.
4 questions, they just get to get a feel for the candidate.
And really efficient for both the candidate and the person hiring as well, because that whole process can happen really quickly. So if you do it at the screening phase, it's, you might have on paper 20 shortlisted, but in reality, when you're talking or see someone in front of you that, for example, if it's a customer service role and they then come up in front and perhaps, they've not necessarily got the confidence that they might need to be, or I don't know, whatever it might be in customer, or they've answered a question that's maybe not quite what you were after. And so it gives them much more. You get so much more from a video than you would from writing an application.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of stepping into, I suppose, leadership topic, which I'd love to explore a bit more, when you start a business, you've obviously got to wear that leadership hat. And what do you think makes a great leader, whether it's someone starting out their own business or they're managing a team of 100? What are the qualities you think make a great leader?
I think A great leader is a great listener. I'm trying to find words that don't sound cliche, but unfortunately they're all coming. Someone that is empathetic, and that genuinely is there to grow their people. Mm-hmm. So their genuine reason for getting out of bed every morning is to make their business work via the growth of their people, right? Mm-hmm. And in my experience, that those have been the great leaders, are the ones that fully appreciate and live that from just the way they run their business every day. That's kind of, most people that are managing people have, if they're really great at it, they've got those traits, right? And that's what I look for when I'm looking for my executive search placements. So genuine, empathetic leadership. They're also need to have a certain level of strength around giving people confidence that you got this. And for someone to be able to sit in front of new people and inspire through their own story, and then also listen and really help someone's pathway through to where they want to go. And for me, those are the two best traits around leadership, is understanding what it is that you do, educating your people coming through, genuinely caring about who they are. Sometimes that personal and business can cross over, especially with a smaller company. So the more value you give to the people that work for you, the more likely they're going to be super loyal and hang around and work hard on the days where you just need to get stuff done. And yeah, so I'd say those would be the three things I'd look for as a leader and what I try to do.
Around personal branding for leaders today, it's changed a lot. It's taken probably quite a few steps forward of late. What's your view on it? Do people need to be showing their face, getting on video, whether they're the CEO, whether they're a founder of their own business? Do you think everyone needs to build a personal brand? I'd be curious for you to give your views.
Yes, I do. Yeah. I think there's varied levels of it depending on your position and, as you said, the size of the business that you work for. I think if you are a startup, absolutely, that's a no-brainer. That is such an opportunity, and in fact, your biggest opportunity for exposure for your brand. If medium-sized businesses, I'm just thinking of some of the businesses I've worked for, and I've been responsible for comms and PR, and it was like extracting teeth to get the CEO to do an update. Like, I think through COVID times, oh, can't you just do that? No. So I think it's really important, especially in, say, for example, in times like that during COVID, right? We want to hear from the leader. Everybody's feeling anxious and worried, and everyone's unsure. And so, the company I was at the time, 400 strong headcount, they want to know from the powers that be, aka the CEO, where are we at? And everybody get on the same page. So from that perspective, the internal branding is really, really strong. Externally, definitely as well. Especially if the leader is a good leader as well, if the leader is articulate and speaks really well and can relate and communicate, that's an easy win for the brand. It's such an easy win for the brand. So yes, I think everyone should have a personal brand.
Yeah, well, we've certainly seen a lot of businesses grow a lot faster by using their personal brand alongside their business brand. And perhaps it's an opportunity for anyone listening who doesn't feel confident to get in touch with you for some training on video. So
yeah, it's brand new, but I do have some stuff. Yes.
Yeah. Well, maybe perfect segue into my next question. Can you give us a couple of tips for those that aren't confident on camera? What would be the three things that they should work on to build that confidence or feel like they're presenting better?
Practice and acceptance, first of all. So accepting that you're not going to like it to begin with. It's our first video that we do is always really crappy. And I've worked, do you know what I find really funny too, Shelley, is that people that I've worked with and a lot of consultants that I've worked with over the last couple of years who have so much confidence in life, amazing salespeople that can handle rejection every day in, day out. Yet you put a camera in front of them and they're like, and go running. And so I think be brave, first of all, right? And there's a fair bit of work that comes in that. How do you get to that point? Putting yourself on camera can feel like you're public speaking. You're not. You can be on your own talking to this camera, and that will give you comfort. So that's the first thing. Do it. Just do it. Practice, practice, practice. I made a lot of terrible ones to begin with, and they're still not fantastic all the time, but I do it, and it's consistency. And that's like any habit. You just continually get better at it. So just do it. And the next thing would be, remember, one of the biggest tips, think of it as you're talking to a friend of yours, or someone you love, or someone that knows you really well. That's how you'll bring your authenticity. So someone said that to me when I first started, and I think it was a sibling. I've got one of 6. And they said to me, it doesn't even sound like you. What's this voice you're putting on? I said, it's my professional voice. And they said, no, it doesn't sound like you. You need to hear you. And that was the best advice I got given. And I practiced that from then on. And so that will really help. And oh God, there's so many things you can do, but if you don't like it, if there's a vanity metric there or something like that, get some really good lighting, sit yourself in front of a window, film early in the morning or late at night, dawn or dusk, best lighting ever will make such a difference.
In glow,
this old duck really likes that. And get some good, there's so much tech we could go into, but those will be my first tips.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's some great shares there. Now, our audience are female founders. So what advice can you give them about elevating their leadership? I think we can all improve somewhere, but what are some of the most common things that you see people could improve on?
I see a lot of need for self-reflection, especially around, because we kind of take things like psychological safety, emotional intelligence, all of those very great interpersonal skills that we need as a leader. Because we're so busy in what we're doing, those things don't become a priority until they are. And sometimes they can be a real red flag as well. And I don't want to sound too shocking, but, it can be a real risk for your business if we don't self-reflect and understand what it is to be emotionally intelligent and how to get the best out of your people. That's something that has surprised me of late, that I'm seeing a lot of that coming through, that understanding why someone behaves a certain way and how to be your best self in those moments. That's the first thing I would say to elevate your leadership, is to have a good look inward. Go, am I sure that I understand exactly how I communicate? And do I do that really well? And do I understand others well? Can I actually pick up on what they need? Talk to your friends, talk to your family, ask them to give you feedback. It's a really good place to start. And I've done this with some execs before, and it's helped them with their leadership. So that's where I would start. There's lots you can do, but
I think I'll practice a bit of that tonight. That's a really good suggestion. We spoke briefly about burnout and the importance of health and wellbeing to perform at your best. What daily rituals do you include in your day now, having, I suppose, not want to repeat where you've been before?
Yeah. I drag myself out of bed. Honestly, I've never been a morning person, and I can work quite late into the night, but I've never been a morning person. So I drag myself out of bed now, and especially on a Monday morning, I have a 6 a.m. Pilates class. 6 a.m. And so I'm up at 5 on a Monday morning. It's a brilliant start to the week, as hard as it is. And so I make myself do that. And it's really hard. And I love getting out of bed, but it makes a massive difference. It's wonderful for my strength as well, and in both in my body and in my mind. So exercise every day, the first thing, as much as I can, whether it's just a walk or something. So usually doing something exercise-wise, and then getting outdoors, really, really important. I learned that on recovery from my burnout was, get outside and to really soak up that fresh air and sunshine. And I remember being told that and thinking, oh, this sounds so woo-woo. And it sounds like my mum, who's just, when I was growing up, saying, get outside, get some fresh air. But now I get it. It makes sense. It really can change your mood. It can change your outlook. It can change everything you look and feel in that moment. So that's a habit for me now, getting outside, exercising, and getting sleep. There's a lot of habits, but I'm really trying with sleep. Mind you, menopause is not helping that, but I am trying.
Yeah, I think a good night's sleep does wonders for the brain, even just from a productivity point of view, let alone your mood. And I've heard this fabulous quote the other day around, don't let your mood dictate your action, start moving and your mood will improve. And yeah, that's one of those things
Love
where
that.
you don't necessarily feel like getting up out of bed and going for that walk or doing some activity, but you feel so much better after it. I was a swimmer, so I used to be training at 5 a.m. most mornings.
Yeah.
But I don't know how I did it now. I'm certainly not up at that time now. But yeah, it is one of those things where you do feel fabulous just after.
Yeah. And that's brutal, right? Swimming is every day as well when you're training.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. See, that's next level. But you also get that, and I'm married to athletes, and not two of them. One was ex-athlete, and my son is now footy player. Anyway, and I look at them, and if they don't train even for one day, they're a misery. It becomes this need like water, right? For happiness. It builds that muscle memory. Love it.
Now, moving across to, I suppose, innovation and what's changed, either recruitment, but for all businesses really. And one of the big shifts has been AI in the last probably 12 months or so. I suppose for me, and I'm sure many others, the biggest improvement for me has been everyone's time poor. How can you get back time? And using some of these tools has helped that. So I'd love to hear how you're utilising AI in your business, because from what I'm told, you're very innovative with what you're adopting early. So happy for you to share.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. Oh, gosh, where do I start? So I've written down a few things that I wanted to share with AI. ChatGPT, but not just ChatGPT 3, but ChatGPT 4. And you have to say that slow. Pay the $20 a month. It's so worth it. Someone told me to do that. But it is so worth it. It's more intuitive. It helps you write better content. It, basically picks up on who you are a lot faster. So if you're not on the bandwagon of ChatGPT yet, I encourage you to do so. If I can learn it, anyone can learn it. So it's literally like having a VA. I use it for everything. So I use it for helping me write ads, as I said earlier. I will use it for helping me, present candidates. If I want more detail, I'll chuck in my notes from an interview that I've had, and I'll chuck in a resume, and I'll chuck in a job description and notes that I have, and say, help me write some presentation notes for my client. Pull out the key facts here. And then, is it everything? No, but it is a really good start, as opposed to having 4 massive documents that I've got to spend hours sifting through and getting that information, which we already established I'm not very good at that. So this helps me to get all that information in 10 minutes, and then I have a really good potential document that I can review and make it sound a little bit more like me, which you then put back into ChatGPT and say, for learning purposes, this is my writing style and my tone, right? So over time, when you feed it correctly, and there's a lot of information that you can learn out there, even just on YouTube, and how to do that, it is your best friend. Like I said, as a consultant, I'm always writing. So it's a great way to help me to get a lot of that information quickly, and, you know, writing captions for all the videos that you do across all of your different platforms. Most of the time I'll write the first one and then just say, can you make that appropriate for all of these platforms that I use as well?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not great. No, sometimes it sounds really American. And but again, you just keep feeding it, you change it, put it back in there and say, actually, this is more what I was after. Yeah. So AI from that perspective is amazing. And then you can go down the road of video marketing as well. There's great AI tools now that have just started. They're not fab. I did one for Christmas where you can literally put in information of what you want AI to build you, and you don't have to be in the video. It'll build you a full movie style video, as long as you've got a bit of an idea about what you want to see.
Yeah.
It's not overly schmick, but it's pretty cool. And so there's that. Yeah, that would be my main one that I use. There's a lot of other stuff that I use for marketing, but AI ChatGPT 4 is my best friend.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like we were writing obviously all our articles from scratch pre-ChatGPT, and now I pretty much will always start there because you get 90% of what you want, and then you just add your own flavor or own little elements. And yeah, I can punch out 25 articles in a day as opposed to one a week, you know, as fit them in when you can. You can
totally
be far more productive, which helps you to be more consistent.
Yes.
Yeah. So no, there's many ways. So yeah, is there anything that you're working on currently? You did mention a course. Was that around the video marketing? But yeah, is there anything else you're working on or about to launch that you want to share?
Well, that would be it. It's kind of like, this is a bit of a heads up, and the first time I'm talking about it officially, because I've only really done some pilot ones, but it is about to launch. So I will be doing a masterclass, first of all, about confidence on camera. That'll be free, that people can download. And then from there, there'll be a series of how they can work with me as well to train their brand and train themselves to get better at representing their brand on camera, and ultimately, you know, grow their business and make more profit. That's what it's all about. So yeah, that's exciting. That's what I'm doing now. Obviously, I have my HR side of the business as well, and the exec in sales recruitment. So, which includes support staff too. So if anyone's after recruitment at all, I'm your gal. And also if anyone needs any help or even just advice, you know, that's definitely a big part of my values, is giving back. So no strings attached. If anyone has any questions around recruitment, HR, or video, more than happy to chat.
Yeah, I'll shoot in one final question. Your thoughts around remote working versus in office, or the hybrid combination? Where do you sit on what is the most effective team in terms of the changes that have taken place in the last few years?
Yeah. I think if I look at the average about what works really well, it's probably hybrid. Although, you know, there's exceptions to those rules, especially again with startups. Like if it's a small business that's only growing by 1 or 2 a year, or not even, then potentially that's one of the bonuses you can, or perks you can give to an employee, is to say, hey, you can work from home every day, I don't care. As long as we're getting done what we need to get done, then you do you have your space, you do what you need to do. And that can be a real bonus that can actually save you on how much you need to pay. So that's a good thing to bear in mind. As far as teams go, I'd say a medium-sized business, if we're looking at something at 10 plus, 10 to 100, 10 to 200, I think personally hybrid is great. So even a 2 and 3, so 2 in the office, 3 from home, or vice versa, because I think at that size, it's great to get everyone together.
Yeah.
And that's where the true magic can happen, is sharing time together, and then they become more accountable to one another as well, and the care factor grows, and they want to all achieve for one another, and that's sometimes quite hard to do behind a screen the entire time, to build that rapport and that relationship. So I definitely don't think there's any need for people to be in the office every day if they don't have to be. And I definitely think that's a massive deal breaker. Nearly every candidate that rings me, if I don't have hybrid on the roll, well, that's the first question they'll ask.
Yeah.
You know, expectations from candidates has changed so much since COVID, and it's an employee market right now. So as business owners, we need to be really conscious of what they need.
Yeah, no, I think that shift has definitely happened, and I was just curious from a recruiting perspective if you thought the same. So yeah,
definitely, yeah.
And I suppose finally, how can people get in touch with you if they would like to know more about your services?
So you can go to hallwaypeople.com.au, and that will have all of my info there. You can find me on all the platforms as well. Hallway People has a page on LinkedIn, so you can find us there too. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us today, and you gave us a lot of valuable insights, as well as shared your own experience. So thank you so much for your time and knowledge.
Oh, you're so welcome, Shelley. Thank you so much for having me.